The Mind Buzz, now partnered with My Grito Industries.
This podcast episode of The Mind Buzz is brought to you by House of Chingazos. House of Chingazos is a Latino-owned online store that speaks to Latino culture and Latino experience. I love House of Chingazos because I like t-shirts that fit great and are comfortable to wear. I wear them on the podcast and to the carne asadas. Click the affiliate link in the show description and use promo code TheMindBuzz. That's TheMindBuzz to receive 10% off your entire purchase. The cash saved will go directly to the Mind Buzz podcast to help us do what we do best, and that's bringing you more Mind Buzz content. Click the link in the show description for more. The Mind Buzz is powered by Mind Buzz Media. Mind Buzz Media is an on-site video and audio podcast production company. Have you ever thought about starting your own video and audio podcast? Or do you have an existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Mind Buzz Media brings a professional podcast studio to you. Visit mindbuzz.org for more. February 23rd, open mic, showcase, live podcast. It's Delic Comedy, February 23rd. I am so excited for this, you have no idea. Come out, it's in the city of Paramount. That's
The
right.
Mind Buzz.
And away we go. What is up, Mind Buzz? Did I scare you? I'm sorry. Okay. I felt like I scared him. Welcome back.
Me, lady.
I know, right? Welcome back to another, even though I look like a houseless person right now, welcome back to the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mind Buzz podcast. My name is Gil, your host, and working the 2s and 3s right behind this screen is Amber. How are you?
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
Or tonight?
I'm good.
Whatever time we're listening to this podcast.
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good in all time zones and time, and I'm good. I'm doing good.
All right. Well, good.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
That was a nice rack you had on there.
A nice rack?
I didn't know you had that on your
rack?
poster.
Oh, yeah. Do you like that?
I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm open to it.
Think about it. It just came to me as I was creating flyers for that. I am super excited.
No, it's so funny
About that event in February 23rd. Just released today, ladies and gentlemen. The signups are on there. It's a completely 100% free show. Doors open at 7:30. You can see all the details down on the show description if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're watching this show on YouTube or listening on Spotify, go down to the show description and the show notes and check it out. It's a open mic, it's a comedy showcase, and it's a live podcast recorded in front of a live studio audience. I like saying live studio audience. I feel...
because it makes you feel like you work for TV or something.
Yeah, but I work for...
Recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Recorded.
Yeah, because it was all the shows we used to watch. Everything was recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah.
Gives you nostalgia.
I like the laugh track. I've had this 90s nostalgic feeling for the past month.
32 years?
For the past 32 years. I've been watching a lot of 90s wrestling. I've been liking. I've been looking at a lot of 90s comedy, early 2000s comedy. So I don't know. I'm just in the mood for stuff like that right now.
Okay. That's cool.
What about you?
Yeah, me too. I'm wearing my Hello Kitty shirt on right now. I think I always am. There's something about our generation, And I don't know, I can only speak for our generation, right? I don't know about other generations. But there's something about our generation that hasn't grown up completely, right? We're like honoring our child self still, and I'm here for it. I really am.
I dig that.
Right?
I dig Hello Kitty.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm gonna be frank with you, Frank, but I didn't really like. Was Hello Kitty popular back in?
Yeah.
Was it like in the 90s?
I had like Hello Kitty comforter, Hello Kitty pillows. I had a Hello Kitty party where everyone gave me Hello Kitties. I had over maybe 60 Hello Kitties. I had a Hello Kitty phone, alarm clock, trash can, you name it, I had it.
Well, we're going to talk about Japan and Hello Kitty with our awesome guest. But first, before we get into today's guest, I believe we have a My Grito Weekly and we have a Mind Buzz Weekly.
Yeah.
So what do we got coming up?
So 3LH will be at the Tiki Bar in the OC on January 26th. La Rosa Noir will be at the Empty Bottle in Chicago on January 28th. The Paranoias and Profesor Galáctico will be performing at the Paramount on January 27th. Maria Sanchez will be performing at Forever Mine in Bakersfield on February 10th. Some of you may remember her from the episode 149 on here, the Mind Buzz. So
you put all that? Okay. Cool. All right.
Make sure you visit our YouTube so you can go catch her episode. And she sings amazing. Rundown Creeps recently released this new music video you can find on their YouTube or the link on their Instagram bio. The Paranoias will be releasing their new music video shortly. Stay tuned. For more details on these shows, go to the artist's Instagram page and don't forget to visit mygrito.net to purchase your vinyl right meow.
Right meow. And then I have some dates in February. February 8th, I will be at the Mamba in Huntington Beach. February 9th, I will be at Fourth Wall in Hollywood. And the 23rd, we're going to be taping the first live event of Delic Comedy in the city of Paramount. And stay tuned for more dates. What do we got coming up on your side of the event space?
On February 10th, I will be hosting a Valentine pop-up. So come out and support small businesses. Get some gifts for Valentine or just for yourself. Come have a drink and shop small. On February 24th, my sister and I will be hosting a small business. What do we call it? I can't think of it on top of my head. Small business, goal setting event. So come out if you're a small business or want to learn how to open your small business and you don't know where to get started or where to even begin. Come out. We're here to help you, coach you, and kind of guide you. Yeah. And then on the 25th, I'm also hosting a pet pop-up. So if you have any pet lovers out there, we're going to have really cool La Panaderia. So it's like paw and panaderia. So a lot of nice little goodies for yourself and for your pets. So yeah, come out.
Cool. I'm excited for those. And anything else?
That's it.
Cool. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's guest, John DeMena, musician. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
And am I saying that right? John
DeMena. Either. Yeah.
DeMena.
Okay. Oh, not either. Which one do you want?
DeMena is the yeah. But it's normally
we're here to get it right.
DeMena the first time. Yeah.
There we go. Cool. Thanks for coming out and doing the podcast. I really appreciate it. We've had this scheduled for a very long time, and I'm excited that you made it out.
Yeah. Thank you so much. For having me. I love the podcast, and it's an honor to be here, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So let's get into your music, your experience. So first of all, let's talk about your music. Mm-hmm. So how would you describe your music and your music style?
I'm a rock artist, I would say. pretty much like the best way to define it. It's kind of like, I like the term new old rock. So it's kind of like, it's, throwback to, the type of classic rock that we grew up with, but with a modern type of sound. Big guitars, big choruses, big everything, like big solos, and very passionate writing, and I guess a little bit of the Latino blood shows in there. I would say that, like, very high energy, sun driven rock music.
What rock music did you listen to growing up?
It's funny that
did I say that right? What rock music did you listen to growing up? Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
I mean, at the time, like, we were talking about the throwback, Amber was saying about the 90s. I mean, like, don't they say, like, the music that permeates your life in your 13 to 15 or 16, that's your music. It's kind of like, so, I mean, a lot of that music, like, a lot of the 90s, especially Seattle scene, came out where, when we were in high school. I would say, like, that was still like a good time where people would still be trading, albums and all that. So a lot of that, was kind of like the music of my generation, like the Alice in Chains, the Soundgardens, the Nirvanas, and, a lot of the British stuff to the Radioheads and
Oasis.
Oasis and Blur. And then later, through friends of, like older brothers or friends, we started to discover kind of like the classic music of the time. So it was kind of like, hey, you guys like this? Listen to this thing. It's AC/DC. And we were, oh my God, this is like, so, and then now it just became kind of like the music of, the soundtrack of my life. A lot of the classic music, a lot of Pink Floyd later, Sabbath, that I saw that, you were... So a lot of classic rock. I also grew up in Spain, so there was a lot of flamenco over there that I really appreciated.
Ooh.
Yeah, I never appreciated at the time so much as I do right now, as a performer type of thing, because it's a music that it's so passionate that it's impossible to quantize or like do like with a modern approach, like mechanics or something like that, because it's so expressive. And then as from the performance point of view, I appreciate it a lot more now than ever. It's just it's such a unique and very passionate type of music. That now I'm glad that it's in my DNA a little bit, even though I don't perform that music. But it was nice to grow up in that culture.
And doesn't it take like also because it's been for some reason, that's funny that you say that, because for some reason it's been popping up like more on my TikTok, so I see more videos of people performing like flamenco and like singing, and it's not only voice. I mean, what you have to have a pretty regulated voice, like like high pitched, low, things like that. But they also use their hands and their body movements, and it's like all three things into one. Well, the videos that I've seen. So maybe am I wrong, or is
no?
It's
a super cool and rich culture that you can be a flamenco dancer, and actually the way that they dance is almost like a drummer. Sometimes better than some drummers. Like I would say.
So what exactly is flamenco?
It's kind of like the traditional folky music from
Spain,
like southern Spain. But I mean, tracing it back, they said that it has a lot of influence from northern Africa and India. It has a lot of that, infused type of like ethnic, traditional type of music. We discovering it more and more now. Now that we're visiting back, and then like kind of like see my country through the eyes of another person who didn't grow up over there. So just realize how cool it was.
And you grew up, you grew up in Spain?
Yeah,
okay.
I grew up over there, and then I moved out here when I was 25.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So you spent 25 of your first years in Spain, and then moved over
here. No family, no one.
Whoa.
Everybody's still back there. Like,
really?
Yeah, just the black sheep is the, like, I've left the... They still wonder when I'm going to go back, and it's been like 15 years now. So.
What was your family's thoughts when you told them you were going to move to America?
It was kind of back and forth for the first couple of years. I mean, they were like, well, you've been playing music all your life, so it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it's scary because it's like, do you have anything going on? Or, because it was kind of like kamikaze lifestyle at the time. It was kind of like, in your 20s, you just bulletproof, and then you just go for it. You just throw it. And then just I came here, didn't even know anyone, no, contacts or anything like that. So at the time, but it was always like, well, you can just, roll the dice, and then if it doesn't work out, you can always come back, or, so, I mean, it was challenging at the time, but it was kind of like also like, it's kind of like.
It always amazes me to think how as humans we can survive, like, because I'm very close to my family and where I'm at, and I don't see myself moving across the country with nothing, because I'm scared. But to me, when I hear people and their success stories of just moving and no family and no plans and anything, and that's like commendable that you could just come somewhere and survive, and off of just passion, right? Because that's what you came here because of. To pursue. Did you come here to pursue music? Is that why?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like something that lives with you for a while. Like you want to do it, and then I know myself very well, and I just don't want to be in that mindset of like the rest of my life. Like, what if? Well, I should have. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it, and then see what happens, and then later you just realize, and then you just endure a couple things, and then you grow up, and then you learn more about yourself and the world, and and then. But that's the thing. But it's what you were saying. I just try to still be, really, nurturing those relationships, and still like some of my best friends are still like friends for, when we were like in, elementary school or, so it's, maintaining that, balance and connection with them to your values, or, type of like the people you grew up with, in addition to the people that you meet along the way.
How long were you playing music before you moved out?
Probably 10, 11 years.
10, 11 years.
My first things were like in high school, I would say, playing bands. And then I moved out here, I was like 24. So it was like something like that, 10 years.
I still can't. I'm still trying to comprehend that people do that. Like people do that all the time, right? Like it's move out of state is one thing, but going to a completely different country is completely different, right?
Yeah, I mean, and on top of that, I feel like still privileged, because I mean, migration, like the stories, of that. It's no an easy case, but still, for me, I feel like it was kind of like it came from a comfortable point of view. It's like you want to pursue this. I mean, so it's still like I feel, yes, you have to endure a lot of things, and loneliness, and and making pretty much the impossible possible, because you need to like go up the ladder day by day and then do it. But still, I mean, it's good. I mean, I've met people that really went through, like compared to yourself, is like, oh my God, like mine is just like, like a pleasure, compared to
really?
What they wanted to. Yeah. Some people, it's, meet a lot of cool people on the way, and then a lot of stories, I would say.
Yeah. Cause you go to a different country and you put a lot of thought, you put your whole life, right, into your project, into your passion. And I feel like when you're already there at a certain point, there's a different mentality, right? Yeah. Because you're already there, so you have to kick yourself in the ass a little. You have to work harder, because you're like, okay, what did I do this for? Right? You know what I mean? Like I've already gotten this far. Now I need to keep pushing the envelope, versus somebody that's living in LA doing a working music or doing a passion project. It's there's more to lose in your perspective.
Yeah. That's a thing. I mean, I was kind of like taking it day by day, because it started like from, like, how do you get around? Like I didn't even have a driver license or something. So I was like, how do you do this? Or I remember like I mean, just that's a, like what I say is like, like a 20-year-old, brain that, it's just like, not scared of anything. I came out here, I didn't even do my homework correctly. So, because I was like, looking for places and apartments, and people were like, say, well, we would like to have you, but you have no credit, so we cannot rent you a place. I was like, what do you mean credit? I mean, I have money that I can, and they were like, no, but here you have to have credit. So it didn't even work out for me like that, because it was like, at least where I grew up, if you have the money, that's fine. It's not like a credit type of thing. So I had to be in, like youth hostels, like the first 3 months, like sharing rooms with like 6 people in the same room or something like that, until I was able to, get a job. And then, so it's more like at the time you don't think about that. It's almost like you kind of like develop this tunnel vision, and you just go, okay, what's next tomorrow, or what's next, and then eventually you just, find your way. You're gonna be very ambitious. I think at least the first couple of years, you're gonna be very ambitious. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. It's like,
So 25 years ago.
No, I was 25.
You were 25. Okay. So
25.
15. It was 15 years ago, you said.
I would say something like that.
Okay. So when you got off the plane,
Mhm.
right around that time, what was the first thing that you did?
Going to the hostel that I was staying at the same time at the time, to then figuring out like places for jobs and applications and all that, and then eventually just make your way up. For the first, I would say, like
That must have
couple
been
weeks.
nerve wracking, dude.
Yeah, but I was like, I mean, I grew up in Europe, so I was used to taking the bus and all that.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, for me,
Right.
that was it was like using public transit, and then but eventually I'm very organized, so you
Okay.
just go from A to B, from B to C.
Of course.
like, so day by day you just connect the dots, and then you start like making it, at least you find your place, and then
Do you think that because my mom always says what she puts it into perspective with like marriage, right? Where she says like if you marry someone in your 20s, you don't think of all these X, Y's, and Z's, right? You marry for love, and it's just like, let's do it and everything, she says. But once you pass a certain age, you start thinking of, all the X, Y's, and Z's. So in the perspective of your case of just coming in your 20s to another country and, let's do it. Do you think in your age now, you think you would still do the same thing?
No, I don't think. I think you just, you develop some, kind of like comfort, and then you appreciate what you have. And then I think, it's like the youth rebellion, it was right after college too. So it's kind of like the perfect time. You have no attachment to anything. You're not attached to a job. You're not, attached to anything. So that was the time to roll the dice, and,
Nice.
so far so good.
Yeah, you just jumped right in, dude. Wow. That is amazing. What did you study in college?
Southern Spain, Andalusia.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. I was also like staying home. Like I was never, like I was, staying home with my parents and then go to college over there. It's a small town in between Sevilla and Granada. Those are,
Okay.
like the two main
Can
cities.
you pull up a map of Spain? That's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. But what did you study in college? Was
English,
it?
Yeah.
Oh, you studied
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, so is studying English like English or like
Yeah.
literature?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
writing? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
music
just making
music
shit.
never worked out for me, because I mean, at the time, the way to go, because it was kind of like a small town, so there's not like too many opportunities. So the only way to go was going through the classical, training through the conservatory. And then me and a lot of my friends who got into music like in our teens, we got rejected at the time, because it was like you have to enter, like you have to be super young to enter those, conservatories. Like, the application is for kids who are like 7, 8 years old or something
Whoa.
like that, because the program is super long.
Yeah.
So like if you enter when you're like 17, it's like, well, you have 10 years left of this, because it goes by, different degrees at the time. So, I mean, I never studied music at the, or like in the traditional type of sense. I would say.
I'm trying to see where.
What are we looking at?
South, a little bit more.
Lower?
Yeah, you
Scroll
see that?
down.
Yeah, like that city that says Cordoba.
Where am I?
Porter.
Yeah, a little bit to your.
Oh,
yeah,
right
to
there
the-
on. So you're on the coast.
No, a little. Yeah, up. Yeah, to see Granada. So over there. Yeah.
Okay. Granada.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh,
and
Cordoba. right
Jaén.
here.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like in
Cordoba.
between those.
Oh.
Cordoba and Granada.
Mhm.
Got it. Nice.
Okay, see that.
See, now you get perspective.
Yeah. Whoa. That's awesome. I don't even. It just blows my mind, because we were just talking about
Mhm.
Japan earlier.
Yeah, when you guys went.
And I only know English and a little bit of Spanish. And you're gonna think this may be the dumbest question in the history of the Mind Buzz, but what language do they speak in Spain?
Spanish.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it and it's a different type of Spanish?
I would say it's like kind of like British English and American English.
Okay.
Like
So there's just like different.
Will have like different accents and sounds and like and slang and but it's pretty much that's the main difference.
Okay, that's an interesting analogy to it. It's like
or like Portuguese from Portugal and Portuguese from Brazil.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. All right. That wasn't a dumb question, right?
No, many people asked me that before.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're like...
I'm like, kind of. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, we are an ocean and a continent away.
Okay.
So it's normal that people, will see, like those European countries are like, I mean, it's...
I thought it was one of those things where people in Brazil, they don't speak Spanish, they speak...
Portuguese.
Portuguese, yeah. I thought it was just...
But Spain,
something like that.
Spanish, that's where Spanish came
Yeah,
from.
but Portugal, I mean, Brazil, maybe they speak Brazilian. I don't know.
No.
You don't know. But I don't know.
Stop while you're ahead. Stop while you're ahead.
I didn't finish college, okay? All right. Back off. But we were just talking about that before we hit the record button, and it's just it's different when you go to a different country. I mean, Japan. I don't speak Spanish. I just speak English. And going to Japan and just feeling the culture of a different country, like it's super different.
I went, like we were talking before.
Yeah.
I went to Japan like 2009, and that was kind of like the first years of like the smartphones, and so like kind of like the apps and translation, and even having internet on your phone was not very efficient. So we could not be translating the way that we do these days. And I was like, dude, I speak English and Spanish, with like two of the most widely spoken languages. And I feel useless over here because I couldn't communicate with people. Like it would just hand signals like I'm hungry, where do we go to the train or something? And it was like, because we could not pull out like, I mean, you have to go back to the hotel and translate something on Google Translate and then write it down because it was like, it was at
because you didn't have a phone.
It was the early ages
oh my gosh
of the iPhone and all that. It was like, like now you take it for granted, but like 2009. Like phones were, like very basic.
Yeah, our phone would like speak for us.
Yeah, now you
translate.
Now you can go anywhere.
Point your camera to anything and it translates.
You can go anywhere in the world and then just get around without even knowing.
When you told us that earlier, it didn't register in my brain until right now that you're saying like, yeah, you're right. Like you didn't have your phone to even say, look at this. Oh, dang. Yeah, but we were talking when we were talking about it off camera. I was saying that I felt like because I've traveled to other countries and universally, or what I thought universally, everyone spoke English. So I thought going to Japan, I said, oh, it's gonna be easy. And as soon as we got off the airplane and we went into the airport, every single sign was in Japanese. There was not one in English, and I was like, oh, okay. And I remember we couldn't read it, we couldn't communicate, and we couldn't anything. And then that's when I realized, you know what? I'm over here thinking, my American brain thinking that, that people have to speak, English. And it gave me a little bit of a culture shock of like, no, I'm coming to their country, so I should have learned, Japanese. I have to do the effort to learn what's going on in there. And I was,
but it's a cool culture shock.
The
country is amazing. It's so awesome. Like, I mean, we are like, every time talking, I mean, I guess every band that's that saying of be big in Japan or something like that. But it's like, I think every musician's dream is like, playing in Japan. Like,
in Japan.
It's just such a cool type of concept, or, I mean, and also like music over there is like, it's felt like very, with a lot of passion too. So you see some, historic shows or, that happened, at some the venues that they have over there, and it's such a cool place. Difficult market, I guess, to to tour and all that, but one day, it will be a dream come true to perform over there.
Why do you think that it's so the music culture is so rich over there? Like, why is it so loved over
I don't
there?
know, like for some reason, like rock always worked over there. It's like it's very passionate. I think a lot of the narrative that goes with rock and a lot of the kind of like the the aesthetics of that music have always worked very well for a country that it's very into storytelling and some kind of like aesthetics or narrative that goes like that. It could also be super exotic, I guess, too. That type of music. Going back to the whole thing that we were talking before, a lot of flamenco artists in Spain, they go to Japan and they get paid super well.
Really?
They love it. And sometimes they were saying, I mean, and without getting too much into like like country personalities or something like that, but they were saying that a country that tends to be on the reserve side, just see somebody be so vigorous, like speaking and screaming and like being so out there,
right?
They find it fascinating because it's kind of like, it's almost like somebody who's shy sees a band performing on stage and you see a singer who's like just, and you're like, oh my god, I wish that I could do that. Not like performing, but it's like, I wish that I had that, my shyness would not get in the way or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could be something interesting, for that. And that's something that, the energy that especially rock music has, it's something that, it makes a lot of people all over the world like really resonate with it. Because you see like bands that play all over the world and then like their reaction is amazing. Like it's so global. And sometimes they perform. I mean, when we were kids, we didn't even understand what the songs were saying, but I felt them. Like I would listen to Alice in Chains or or Pink Floyd or something, and I was like, I don't even know what they're saying, but
you can feel the music.
Yeah, it does something to me that feels nice.
That's how I feel with Spanish music. That's how I feel with Mexican music. You just feel it in a certain way. Like it music crosses all these different boundaries between language, between vibration, between everything that's not really like you don't really. It goes deeper than listening to a song and understanding it.
You don't even think
different.
It's like if I say, why do you like cheese, or what do you like?
Exactly.
You cannot explain it. I just like it.
Right.
It's like I just eat it and I like it. So it's kind of like you don't know why, but it just resonates with you.
Yeah, why is pizza good? I don't know why pizza is good. It's just great.
I couldn't explain it to you, but I just like it. So the less you think about it, the better. I would say.
I mean, you can say that about any music that anybody. You can say that just about music in general, or any art in general. If you see a painting and you like a painting, and you're trying to explain that to an alien or even another human about why you like the art piece, it's hard to really conjure up some words to tell somebody what you like.
That's something that I normally try to. I mean, probably I don't know. Like if later, like in a close circle, you talk about your comedy or something like that, or about your jokes or something. But that's something for me. Like I try not to explain my lyrics or my
really
what it does, because it just impoverishes like them, because it's like sometimes I got people who sometimes like, I think this song means that, and I was like, dude, that's way better than it was in my brain. I was like, I'll take that. So sometimes trying to explain, for example, like if you're saying art or music, or to me, it's kind of like if you can be somewhere and there's like 100 people listening to a song. There's like 100 different interpretations,
of course,
or a painting or something like that. So sometimes you go and you try to explain it, and then it kind of like, oh, wow, it's less epic than than it was in my head. So I try to always leave it open or something like that. So same for art. It's just
leave it open to interpretation.
Leave it open. It is what you want it to be, or what you want to make out of it. I would say.
Right. the beauty is in the listener's behold, or how does that?
The eye of the beholder.
The eye of the listener.
Ear of the beholder.
Yeah. Or something like that. I mean, I don't know. The music is just, I'm drawn to music, man. Like I even like you were just saying Pink Floyd. We were talking earlier about nostalgia 90s. I've been playing the same 1995 hits playlist on Spotify for the past 2 weeks, honestly. And Amber's getting tired of it.
No.
You're not?
No, I love it. I know them all.
We're gonna continue that with 19. Next week we're going 1996. Everybody.
Well, good year too, yeah.
But yeah, have you heard that most say that OK Computer by Radiohead, they compare it to Dark Side of the Moon, like what Dark Side of the Moon was in the 70s.
Yeah, on a modern, like from the production point of view and the way that it's written. I mean, that album is, a lot of it is acoustic. I mean, acoustic. It's played by hand. It's no program or something. You know, like that. They might have a few things, but it's a lot of the like Paranoid Android or something. I mean, that song is almost like a weird, you know, nerdy Bohemian Rhapsody type of thing. I mean, the song is 8 minutes, is super epic. It goes up and down and starts acoustic, and then it ends over here, and then they have that rain down moment, and it picks up later. Yeah, I mean, that's like, you know, that album is like, you know, just from, you know, like just the guitar work, the production, you know, at the time, it's a masterpiece to me. I think 97 is when 1997 is that album came out. You know, just I would compare that to, I wouldn't say like things are like apples to apples, or I mean,
of course,
it may just be like, but it's, you know, somebody at their peak, you know, and also like a great time, right when like things started to, you know, music production started to go more on the digital type of side, but that was still like at the time where the performance and the technology was not so powerful to cheat or to fix things, you know, later. So you have to commit to the performance, like the performance. So and that album, I mean, it just, you know, it's to me is a masterpiece. You know.
Yeah, committing to the performance and then also finding creative ways on how to change the instrument sound when it's going into the program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that album is just,
and they took the
sweet.
risk. They took the risk of changing, you know, and experimenting and going in a different way, because then, you know, and then even further with, you know, Kid A after, and, you know, all those. But that's I really appreciate that, you know, on musicians, you know, who, you know, sometimes, you know, you explore and you just follow your curiosity and see.
It can go either way too. That's a throw of the dice, because it can go either way. You can be a pioneer in you know, your genre or what you're doing with your career, or it can
go it
can totally tank.
The moment that it starts to be associated with trends or trying to follow in trends, especially these days. Trends these days last, 3 months, 6 months, or like a sound or a band that comes out, then everybody wants to. So I think now it's you know, it's, I mean, there's a sound, there's a band that comes out, everybody is like kind of like the next thing. Then another band will try to get on the wagon and sound like them and write like them, and then by the time that they release their album, that is gone, you know, like that, you know, trend is gone already, and now you end up sounding like something that may be dated for you or something. I think that they were, you know, like pretty much coming up with something new themselves, so that's what made it so unique, that they were so original at the time.
Yeah.
Plus the songs, always to me.
First time I heard No Surprises, my God, it was like the first time I heard the Beatles. Honestly, it was that.
Yeah, that has that.
That aspiring, dude.
But that's, at the end of the day, like for anything, it's good songs.
Yeah.
You have good songs that, you know, that have that convey, have that, passion in there, and then people, will feel them. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you heard rock and roll, and who was it?
I do not remember exactly how I heard it, because it was probably in the house or something like that. But I remember in one of those parties when we were like, in our early teens or something, a friend's brother played Deep Purple, Burn. And hear that song, like how they're belting like the chorus, we were like, I mean, it was fascinating, because it was like, can a person sing like that? Because it's just one word, but he's just belting that and holding it like, and we were like, oh my God, it was so impressive. It's almost like a freight train that comes to you, like, like a 300 an hour that hits you, so it was really, cool. That's what it has, like, especially like the guitar riffs and all that, which is what many kids get into. It has that tribal type of thing, like when you hear AC/DC, or when you hear like, many of those bands, like the guitar riff, like Black Sabbath, now that you played before, like
Tony
those
Iommi,
things.
oh my gosh.
I don't know what it has. I think it connects so deep into like a very tribal type of thing, because it's this cyclical thing that repeats, and then it's so, and it's so easy to remember too. They're like so memorable. So that's
Child in Time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The first time I heard Okay, so Deep Purple is one thing. Their organ player, I forget his name, but he is
Ian
like
Anderson, I think. Not John Lord. John Lord.
one of the best out there. Aside from John Densmore. No, John Densmore is a drum player.
The Doors, yeah.
No, what's the organ player of the Doors? Oh my God, his name is
Ray Manzarek.
Ray Manzarek. OMG! But the dude that plays organ in Deep Purple is
John Lord.
Oh my God, dude!
Yeah.
The first time I heard "Child in Time," the singer just belting, like you were saying, is just holding that note for. It was just mind blowing. It's just crazy how music can send you somewhere that's.
But what it's the most mind blowing type of thing is many of that music didn't exist before. Like if you listen to Black Sabbath, because now it's like, oh yeah, I came with this sound. Yeah, because you have a lot of information for something that happened before.
Right.
But Black Sabbath, for example, before that didn't exist.
There was no metal.
It was the Mamas and the Papas, and like the Beach Boys. It was all this super cool, like 60s, hippie type of sound, and then I will pay money. I always say I would pay money to see the reaction on the face of the person who listened to Black Sabbath for the first time, because it's the first time that is scary music, and it was like. It's almost like if you like movies, like the Texas Chain Massacre. I get it why when it came out, like people ended up going to hospitals and all that, because it was so shocking. Yeah. Now you compare it to like the threshold of, some scary is way higher. Like now movies that you see these days, they can be like, it makes that look like a Disney movie, Right. But at the time, that didn't exist before. So you go to a theater and you see that, I think like the impact that it had will be like, Jesus Christ, what was that? So yeah.
Yeah, watching. Yeah. Imagine going back in time and just seeing Ozzy and Tony and Bill and the other guy. I forgot his name. But for the first
Geezer.
For the first time, I mean, that's just got to be mind-blowing on its own. And then plus, even if you took a tab of acid or something, if you're smoking weed or something, my God.
Yeah, that's what it's the most impressive. Like listening to that music and knowing that didn't exist. That they literally came up with that.
They mixed punk rock with some tribal sounds and just that. You know what? I was looking up like what is classic rock, and I did not know. I don't know if you know this, but it had the reason why they call it classic rock is because of the because of like it's supposed to like emulate like classical music. Can you look up like the definition of classic rock? I read that like a few weeks ago. I have to read it again because I think I butchered that.
A lot of bands at the beginning would have some type of influence, definitely from that.
Let's see what it says. Classic rock. Oh yeah, right there. Scoot it over a little bit. Ideologically, classic rock serves to confirm the dominant status of a particular period of music history. The emergence of rock in the mid-1960s with associated values and set practices.
So it's probably like the most canonic type of rock, like kind of like what what like defined like
melody and
defined
the era, right? Jeff Beck, Jimi Hendrix,
Led Zeppelin.
My local, what is that? Rock is just a generic term covering a variety of genres. Classic rock just means more than 20 years old. Oh, that's interesting. The differences between rock, hard rock, punk rock, metal, and heavy metal have been well explained already. Huh. Okay.
So it's always open. Like maybe the next generation will see 90s music that we were talking about as classic rock one day. They may be like, oh, that's kind of like,
Amber, what were you saying that you heard? Somebody said that they heard, I think it was like a 90s grunge band on like K-Earth 101 or something like that.
Yeah, like back then when when we were younger.
It was oldies, right?
Yeah, like K-Earth was an oldies radio station. And you're talking about like, like oldies, like 50s, 60s, maybe even early 70s. But no, it was like more like the doo-wop, type of thing, Aretha Franklin, all of those. So that's what it was. And then like 20 years later, now they have 90s, 2000s, and they call them oldies. And I'm like, that's not old.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just getting older. We're not getting any younger or something.
But if you think about it, in the 90s, 20 years, like we just read right now, anything that's 20 years or older is considered classic rock. So in the 90s, Pink Floyd.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin.
Beatles,
the Stones.
That was classic rock. Yeah. But now, 90s music is considered or can be considered.
Pumpkins and all them, they're classic rock?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's crazy that those albums are like almost 30 years old, some of them, 25 or, because they were so, I was a kid when I was like getting many of them.
I like to push those albums to the younger generation. Yeah. Morning Glory and Dark Side of the Moon.
And also something that you have to, that's very interesting about that is like back in the day, the concept of an album as a thematic unit was very strong. It was almost like a book. The chapters need to make sense. Now I believe that, everybody's free to do, but with this single way of like consuming singles most of the time, like people just listening to a single and all that, it's great, but then you're missing how it all fits in the entire it's so I think that is something that it was really, it had a lot of value for me, like how a song would go to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and then the whole thing was almost like it was a cool trip, like you can take for like an hour and a half or something, or like an hour. Now with most of the music being consumed as singles these days, I would say that's something that hurts a little bit.
It does,
I guess.
As a lover of music, there's nothing like putting on an album and letting it play 1 through 12 or whatever, and just listening to it as a book, like you said, or like a story.
Yeah,
right. Like when the songs bleed into each other and then they change. That's why I love Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Dude. Like you can't just listen to one. You listen to
many
one
of those,
and you want to listen to, say you're listening to number 2, whatever it is. It bleeds in and it stops and you're like, well, what happened? I got to finish.
Yeah. And the mindset at the time was like,
right.
What's the conductor of these songs, and what's the theme or like the thematic type of thing or the concept? Like, I mean, think about The Wall. I mean, The Wall is an entire concept. It's not. It's
like one big song.
It's not even this. Yeah. It's like one of those. So that's one of those things. I still feel like I'm kind of wired in that way, that I look at that, a lot, and I try to write, from that perspective. And but it's it requires more work and thinking outside of the box, and like being really curious, and then pulling this thread and follow and see where it goes to. But I really enjoy doing it like that.
Do you think concept albums are out of the picture right now in music?
I think it's there's still an audience that will enjoy them. I mean, they might be out of the, what the market is interested in right now. Because, just people don't consume that so much, or people just, do not do that. But then there are many bands that, still, commit to that type of approach. And then it's really, really, amazing. Like, like the things that they come up with. I think now is like, it's a more convoluted type of, ecosystem, I would say, where, genres coexist, and different ways to market it. Now it's even crazy with social media.
Dude, I tell you, man, TikTok is the evil. It's the devil in everything, because it has rewired our attention span to media that is being consumed.
Yeah.
In this much.
Yeah.
It used to be this. We watch a 10-minute video on YouTube. We can't do that anymore. It's like 15 seconds.
Yeah. That's
and it's thousands of just scrolling and scrolling, consuming those 15 seconds.
And it's have you just even noticed that how the length of songs of what it was used to be a radio song have decreased?
Really?
I mean, before, like, a radio song could be 5 minutes, I would say, like, or 4 minutes or something. That, like, I mean, what like mainstream type of,
okay,
we're talking these days. Now, it could be maybe like the standard right now is like 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
And it's like, 1, 2, 3 beats, and then you have vocals already, because it has to be, straight to the point, because it's like, you have to plug it in those 5 seconds, or, so you can, sometimes you see that some of like the biggest songs right now, they're like super short and super like intentional when it comes to that. So the whole idea of like, build up a song and, like having a cool intro and letting things, intertwine and then grow up and all that, it feels like almost like it's almost like a rebellion against it,
prehistoric rebellion. So for me, when I think I just over time getting stuck in this YouTube shorts and the reels, and just having the content be really small now when I listen to music, I feel not agitated, but I feel like, okay, get to the point now. Okay, move on. Okay, get to the good part. Okay. On older songs, but I have to catch myself and say, chill out, dude.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Wait
for it. Listen to it.
Yeah, I went a couple years ago, like the moment, like I went back home for the holidays, and I was hanging out with my friends since we were kids. The same people that we were spent like all night just listening to records or something like that. And then we were listening to music. It was like, like get together, everybody gets to see each other. And then I remember like they were like just fighting to play music, like they would play one song and then it wouldn't even let it finish, because everybody wanted to discover new music to them. So, check out this new band that I discovered, you're going to love it and all that. And they were like impatient, man. Like it was like, dude, just play the album and just let it, and then the rule was like, no one can touch, like, we only play full albums.
Oh, that's cool.
Even if it's 3, per night or something like that. Tonight, you know, you roll the dice or whatever, but we only play full albums, and then we go back to talking or, you know, like this, because it was anxious, and like the anxiety that I could see. And it was like people that used to consume a lot of those, but it thinks like, it's like, you know, now they're so used to, you know, skipping and moving, and, you know, which is the cool part. But, you know, I mean, it has its pros and cons. It's wonderful that your music can reach, you know, anywhere, and then, you know, you can, you know, but at the same time, is, you know, it's just, you have to, you know, watch yourself, like developing those habits sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to be aware of those habits. Spotify, Pandora, and iHeartRadio, they feed into the anxiety because all their free versions of their applications are shuffle played, right? So you can't listen to full. Amber, how long were we out with the Spotify Premium account? Like a week or something like that?
Like a couple days.
See, I thought it was longer than that.
Okay.
But it just, it pained me to listen to music on shuffle because I'm super huge on listening to albums. I whether throughout the week or throughout my day, I'll just put on an album and just let it play when I'm working on my computer or, you know, making different stuff. But it pained me. But I feel that these applications are feeding into that anxiety 100% because it's all free. Of course, you're gonna go for free, but then they make you pay for the premium accounts to choose the different albums.
Yeah, it's definitely like you know, like an interesting you know, time. Like to me, like right now, like sitting down one day or like we going on a, you know, on a trip and like playing an album from tip to tip, it almost feels like an act of rebellion now. It's like, it's almost like, you know, like, it's like, there you go. Like, or you open you know, you're having a drink or something like that with somebody, and then you just have music in the background, or you just listen to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost feels like you enjoy it more because also like now is almost something that you cannot do it every day, or, you know.
To me, what like shocks me the most, I think, are like all the different genres that people are creating, right? For music. So there's like, I can't even name one. I'm thinking of one in particular because I'm going to tell you guys the story behind it. But, you know, there's all these different genres now that people create. You know, like in Spanish, there's like, you know, you could do where before it was like norteño, right? Or banda. And then now it's like they put other words in front of it and then they change it up and things like that, which is great. But I recently came across this, I guess you can call him an artist. But he calls himself, his music, he calls it morbo, right? So for me, the word morbo means like maybe like dark, morbid, you know, like
morbo.
Morbo.
Okay.
But all of his songs and every single lyric is about degrading women and assault and very, very extremely explicit lyrics, like crazy, you know. And he's selling out concerts.
Yeah, I mean, what sucks these days, I mean, if you realize like, or like, you know, for anything, the music industry or like any, it has become like the attention industry. Like if you get attention and people are talking about you, you know, there's an interest for that. So it's sad that sometimes that tends to happen more than ever because, I mean, everybody has a microphone now. You know, like let's talk about social media too. Like anybody has an opinion and then they can voice it out there.
Everybody has a platform right now.
And so that's the thing. Like, without getting to, you know, into, you know, I'm no one to say like who has talent or who doesn't have talent or something like that. But, you know, because, you know, it's just easier to get attention just by throwing those things that, you know, it's just a fast way to get it versus, you know, putting some effort into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People love drama.
Yeah.
People love
the
cheeseman,
yeah.
dude.
When you have some cheeseman, like,
oh my God. Yeah.
It's, you heard about this? I mean, and then the music is almost secondary. It's like, and then I listened to one of their songs. It's like, it was alright for like, but they did this. So it's just, that's the thing. It's just that because now is like,
And I think it's also now we're in the generation of like beats, right? So people are creating beats, and then people are like, oh, I want something catchy and beat, and they're glazing over the lyrics. And I think that this person, this guy, and he's young, he's very young, he's like 23, I think. His beats are great. If I not cover my ears because I can't hear the beats, but if I tune out the lyrics, the beat is catchy. It's like, okay, I get it. But once you incorporate the lyrics, that's where you're like, whoa. And I think that this generation, which is not bad because there's a lot of music that doesn't have lyrics and you're able to, but I think that they're glazing over or possibly even making that normal, right? They're what's the word that I want to use? Normalizing and almost like, I don't want to say fantasizing. What's the word? Like looking up to that, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're looking up to this guy and what he's saying, and then that becomes the standard, and then that's what's being taught. And to me, I think it's crazy. And maybe we're just older now, and back when rock and roll was invented, maybe that's what older people were saying about rock and roll, or
people were listening to Elvis albums, and the older generation were like,
his pelvis and
no,
he's
these damn kids.
But still like the degrading people like that, off-putting. It's very. I mean, because I mean, art should be. I mean, for me, no one should have censorship anywhere. Like you should be free to say whatever you want, but then you also free to be judged or something. Like you can put out there whatever you want.
Oh yeah,
but then you have to understand that then there's an audience out there that will listen to it. So that's the thing is like I don't know, I think it's just because it's so easy these days to do that. Is like, what do you want to do? You want to spend like hours and hours and hours and hours learning an instrument or something like that will get you the same results as like just say something that triggers the cheese man, and then just gets people talking about you and this and
because
that.
It's the easier thing to do, right?
So sadly, that's another thing. Like many people are saying that social media and all that has brought the democratization of music. Everybody can put out their music and all that, but then that's the that's also like the, without getting into like gatekeeping or like, I mean, everybody's free to do whatever they want, they put out whatever they want, or something.
But I mean, you said it just right. If you put it out there, it's out there to be judged. Yeah. Right. Like, even though you put out your art, there is still a place to it's out there to be judged and for other people to consume and to have their own opinion about your art. And do you think, and then I don't know, maybe music's a little bit different because comedy is subjective, whether like
comedy these days especially
it's very subjective, right? But music, I feel that is music subjective?
I think things have changed too. The way that things are now consumed and the way that things are reaching some people. It has definitely has changed or has moved the needle a little bit. So it's a little more subjective that it was probably before. Of course, that's for people to judge or to see, but it's an interesting time for that too.
I guess what I'm saying is the fundamentals of music, like time
and tempo rhythm and I mean, there's some things that are like very mathematical in a way, like the way that something moves or the way that some type of beat or music makes you dance, like the way the reason that you listen to AC/DC and you want to move or you want to dance or something like that, or like some type of more like salsa or like or That's definitely like mathematic. I mean, there are patterns that repeat, and there's sound, and there's, something that gets you there. It's also, songs where the intro is a little more narrative and it pulls you in. It's almost like a very storytelling, and then the chorus is more explosive and it's almost like a celebration, and it makes you wanna, like it's euphoria type of thing, So it's a lot of those things. It's almost like, movies and how lights, have an effect, or how this thing brings a mood, So there's moods, there's like, many of those items that, they're tools that will help you get there, or like draw the, the journey or the path, I would say.
Because I hear some music, I'm just like, okay, this guy didn't use a metronome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you listen to certain music and it's off a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's just my taste, or I'm just...
Sometimes also, like, there's nothing wrong about, like, some, old school type of music. I like the fact that they're like happy accidents, a little off and all that, because it's not so quantized and it doesn't feel so mechanical, like, so there are sometimes drummers that rush a little bit, or that they are like a little behind the beat, but it makes it more human. It humanizes it, like if you listen for 5 minutes and every beat is the same, it's a boom, 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 and they're like consistent, like it's kind of like boring, I would say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like.
That's a good take on it. Yeah, that's like some. I forgot who it was. I'm still trying to remember who it was, but it was just like the beat was off, and like it was like off by like a hair.
Okay.
And if you put it right on beat, the song is completely different. I think it was like a Beatles song or something like that. Or the rhythm was off just by a little bit, but if it was on tempo, it'd be completely different.
That, like the feel that somebody who have the, like drummers and all that, it's a huge thing. And in the way that you react to it, like how it makes you dance or how it makes you move, or
even ska on the downbeat on the third. It was on the third, right?
Like
on the upbeat.
That thing, because it's not happening on the downbeat.
Yeah.
It's not happening with the kick. It's normally like most traditional music that you hear. The first will be like the driving, like the first one will be on the kick. There's a boom, ta, boom. So it's kind of like very, solid type of thing. But that one happening on the upbeat, so it's type of upbeat type of thing is what makes you move a little bit. Like the first time, and reggae.
Yeah, the first time I heard ska, I was like, "What the fuck?" The first time I heard the Specials, oh my god, dude! It was just completely different, because I love punk rock, and it was just like 1 through 4, and that was it, and it was like a consistent.
Yeah, all you're doing is just altering that type of thing. That's what makes it so, enjoyable and so cool. Like that's one of the things that I love the most is writing. I mean, I would consider myself more than anything a songwriter, more than a guitar player or a singer or something like that. Like songwriting is to me, like the thing that I enjoy the most. Because it's endless, like you decide where it goes, or you decide, and it's just, it opens so many things, and the whole idea that you just, you start one day or something with something that doesn't exist, or you pull out of the ether, and then at the end of the day you have this thing that has a meaning or creates and has something. It's kind of cool. It's almost like feels like magical that just something came from nowhere, and then and now you have it, you capture it, and then, it creates something on people,
Right. Yeah, just how do you get some of your ideas when you're writing? Does it just happen out of nowhere, and you have to pull over to the side of the highway and write it down? Like, what happens?
That for lyrics and all that I've done, but normally I try to be, I'm very naturally very curious, a very curious type of person. Like I'm driving down the street and I see a billboard for museum exhibit about Ethiopian culture, and I was like, oh, let's go this weekend, and I want to learn more about that. Or I hear a band, from any type of styles or anything, and I want to explore a little bit more about that. So that sends you on a path that you're out of your comfort zone. Because for me, my comfort zone will be doing the type of same thing that I've been doing, or like the type of thing that works. But you follow that, and then you go this way, that way. You just, you create a couple things, and then maybe 99% of the time it's just trash. It doesn't work. But then you come up with something that it's super, super cool. And that was from, maneuvering the song here this way or the other way. Something that it's kind of like, I don't know, kind of cool. I kind of like, now I figured a lot of very cool things that I wrote, especially riffs and all that, or that people really appreciate, came from the first moments of grabbing the instrument. When you almost like, you're like in a, not even in like a duty, mindset or something like that. You just sit down and say, oh, yeah, this is kind of cool. Let's see what, and you just go, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Because you kind of bring that natural beat within you, or like you're in this natural, state, and then you grab it, and then you record it, and then you start working on it. And then the moment that you spend like 10, 20 minutes into that, then the rest of the day, it feels almost like business. It feels almost like mechanical. And that doesn't happen. Like that spark, it has happened a few times where, it's just the natural reaction because you're not thinking about it. It's almost like you just grab it and it's like, oh, yeah. And it's, oh, that was very cool, And then many of those things I try to capture for that. I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know. Like there are ideas or things that almost just come down to me, and I just try to, capture them. I would do what you were saying, that we're going somewhere and I hear somebody say something to somebody. It was that's a cool line for a song. And I would just, but the songs are out there. Like the stories are out there. Like music should feel like almost conversational or narrative, So, I don't know. I always say too, if you're gonna tell stories, you have to live those stories.
Right.
I would say, like if you're gonna tell jokes or something, you should experience those situations where those jokes happen.
It feels genuine. Once you get personal, it starts to feel genuine, and other humans can relate to that.
I went there and I saw this. Oh, you won't believe what happened. But you have to be there. Like if you are locked in your studio, 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, day after day after day after day, what are you gonna talk about? Oh, I have a wall to my side. I have another wall to the other side. So many of those things, stories like this last album, couple, stories of people around me that were, something, happened. They kind of like almost found their way into me and into, they almost permeated the album. And that's allowing what it's around you to happen. It's not so much about, it's not so much about just numbers and and beats and meters and all that. It's almost like feel like letting the stories find their way and play here and there, and then eventually things will happen. Also, I like to take a lot of space and time. Like I will get into, because these days, like especially like if you're like like an independent or like an emerging type of artist, you have to wear so many hats. Like you have to promote yourself, you have to do this, and there sometimes I would just like to be playing guitar or singing for 8 hours, but I can't. Like maybe I can only do 1 hour. The rest I have to be writing emails or putting together press releases or doing things. And I learned that the moment that I'm pushing too much the writing, it starts to suck, and I have to just step away from it, and almost like want to do it again. And then sometimes goes a couple weeks, 3 weeks, and then you start like singing a melody or an idea. You're like,
that makes sense.
That's kind of cool. I wonder if when I get home, but then all the way there, you're thinking about it, the melody.
Right.
So it's almost like something is calling you and drawing you in, and then that's when you go. But if I wake up and I'm like, today I'm going to write a song.
It doesn't work out that
from
way.
8 in the morning to 5, and I sit down like in a 8 to 5 type, at least for me.
Have you ever done something and just like immediately forgot it or lost it? Like,
yes,
you get an idea or a riff or a sound that you like, right when you're like, okay, it's gonna be great. This is gonna be great. But you get to your computer or your guitar or whatever, and it's completely gone. What do you do?
And my theory for that is that it was not good enough. because it was not
Really?
it was not memorable enough.
Oh my gosh! Really? Okay.
I was like, if it was that memorable, I would be.
Oh,
I
man.
would remember it the next day.
Okay.
I will remember it. I mean, sometimes you miss them, or
Yeah.
but
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
yeah, because
Okay.
otherwise, I mean, how many stories you heard about iconic songs that came to musicians in dreams, or came over here and then
Didn't Yesterday by Paul
think
McCartney
so,
came into
yeah.
a dream?
Yeah.
Like the whole melody was
Yeah.
a dream
Mhm.
that he dreamt
Yeah.
the night before he wrote it.
So I want to think like that. Like if if I don't remember, it was not worth it. Though sometimes in the moment you're like, oh my god, that was so cool. But then I mean now it's easy. Like my phone right now is like you just play record and then you just get like some singing or
Right.
melody or something like that. Back in the day, it was harder. I think. For,
I bet.
For many of those, it's like I mean, they say that many musicians used to walk around with
With a notebook, right?
With
A notepad.
notebook and a tape recorder or something like that.
They even say that about the comedians, and
Mm-hmm.
even now, it's just I'm a digital person.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of my comic friends that still have notebooks, which
Uh-huh.
is to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
But they still walk around. They still do mics with their notebook.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's just the way that they're comfortable. I tried writing my ideas
Mm-hmm.
on paper. I just can't. I'm just a typing person.
Yeah, I kind of like started favoring the computer, but not for anything. Like if I have to write poems or anything that I want to write for myself, I would just write. I have
Really?
to sit down with a notepad.
I wonder if
or
it's
something.
different. Like if it would be
Yeah.
a different brain process than
For-
typing.
Yeah, for me, for lyrics and all that, I'm kind of like a musician first, so I normally write lyrics to music, It's not like, oh, I wrote this beautiful poem. I'm going to try to plug it into a song.
Oh, so you have music first,
And then I think about something that might,
how it makes you feel, or how does
Something
that process work?
I feel like with it, like kind of like the beat tells you kind of like, I think that's pretty much what most people
Yeah.
do. You can tell like some bands or some songs that the chorus is so locked in, you can tell that it was built around the chorus, or it would be the melody is so precise or something like that. So normally that's kind of like the thing. You think about cadence, like some type of thing that rolls well with the words, and then you think about the melody or things that work in that sense. And I mean that's normally my approach, and I think most people's.
And it's melody first, and then lyrics.
Yeah,
That's
you have the music, and then you can think about a melody line, or
Amber, can you look up famous songs that had, I don't know, maybe we can look this up a little bit in more in depth, but famous songs that were written with music first, then lyrics. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how that plays out, because that's we talk to a lot of musicians on this podcast, and that's usually one of the questions that I ask, like, what comes first? Is it your lyrics or your music, or lyrics or music? Which comes first? Taylor Swift. Bands that write music first, then the lyrics. Yeah, let's look at that. Who's this? Steve Hoffman. Music forums. Oh, REM. U2.
I mean, if you think about the natural, ecosystem of a band, you're gonna have 3 or 4 people that don't sing, and then one person who
True.
sings. So you're gonna have 3 or 4 people doing a lot more work and pouring ideas. And I have this, and I got this, and then normally the singer comes after.
Stone Temple Pilots. Who else? Scroll down. Elton John. Who else? Is that it?
Yeah, that's all they have.
Yeah.
That's all they put down? Okay. Well, there's a few examples. Oh, there we go. 22 popular songs that were written in 30 minutes or less. I want to see that one. BuzzFeed.com. What's up with Taylor Swift these days? Jeez, what? Cardi B. Come on.
No, that's not Cardi B.
I know. Okay, that's not Cardi B. Who is that?
I forgot her name, but it's not Cardi B.
Sweet Child O' Mine by Guns N' Roses was written in 5 minutes. That's nuts, dude.
I heard some songs from that album were kind of like almost
Really?
wrote themselves.
That's
They were
crazy.
like, you know,
Rap God in 6 minutes, 1 second. That's
Is this
cool.
the one that he like raps like it's like the
Mhm.
fastest rap that's still not beat or something?
yeah.
like
There's
that?
sometimes like the
What other ones? Let's see. Adele debut hit Hometown Glory in under 10 minutes. That's just nuts. But these guys are Lady Gaga, Just Dance in 10 minutes.
I feel like that happens because they already have an idea of what
Could
they
be.
might.
yeah, could be that. Also, like what I mentioned before, like being in the moment and then really
Yeah.
allowing, you know, like that, you know, being like really
Being the vessel
Yeah,
for
yeah.
creativity.
because you can be, you know, you can try to devise something like an assembly line, but that sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah.
I've done that before. Like I will write something. I think you know, like in your head, you're so into it, and then you step away from it. And the next day, you listen. Oh my God, what was I thinking? And I
Yeah.
think you just you know, you just burnt out, and then you just like you know, like assembly line type of you know,
Yeah.
type of thing. Yeah, but that's you know, writing for me is my you know is what I find the most liberty. I can be like you know, people who love video games and they can you know be playing video games for like 4, 5, 6 hours. That's me. You know, like I can.
You can sit there and write for 6 hours?
For writing, I get so lost. It's almost like a journey of trying this, but it's not like perfectioning anything.
Right.
It's like trying.
Just getting stuff
Oh,
out.
I'm gonna try these drums. Oh, I'm gonna try this bass. Oh, I'm gonna try this sound. I'm gonna try this pedal.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna try this, and then things find you know one things are rejected, other things you know enter the game, and then you know sometimes it's like you know, and then it's crazy. You go to sleep and you continue a little bit of that.
Right.
You know, like it's almost like probably like somebody who writes anything like you know books or stories
Right.
or you know like comedy or something. Like if you go to sleep right after you know you finish, you're gonna continue with that movie in your head a little bit.
How do you know if it works or not? Because for at least I can speak from my point of view as writing comedy and performing it as a stand-up. I can go open mic, work it out for 5 minutes, come back and rewrite it, and go to another open mic and try it again. But how do musicians do that?
Sometimes these days it's easy because you can record pretty much everything.
Right.
You know, you come up with you know a good demo where you have at least good drums or something, and then you perform it a little bit, you know, on yourself, and then you listen to it. You can share with some.
Do you go back
people.
and
Oh yeah, you know,
adjust it a little bit?
Go back and adjust and try this or try that or. And then if you have the you know the opportunity to like play it live, even if it's just a song that you just want to you know road test a little bit and see how you know it works, or because also that's another thing is like live is a different beast, you know, like the way that you're performing the song is completely different. You know, you have to sometimes the song that was written one way live sounds completely you know different because it's you know it's more energy to it, or it's like you know it's less intimate, you know, at that time, or so. You know, that's a good thing about technology.
Right.
Like it's like now you can, you know, listen to it and you know and record yourself and then listen to a few, you know, demos and takes.
There's not really that many live albums now. Like people are not doing live albums. Are they?
Really,
Or are they
some
not?
bands will still do it to get out of their contracts, you know, because sometimes they may owe the record label a last album or something like that, and you know they may do something like a live album, or you know, I think now more than the live album, unless you're like a huge band that have a you know huge fan base that is very eager to get more content from you. I think what people do more is more like live videos and live content, you know, so you get to see you know what the band is like live, you know. But you know, every now and then you still see you know live albums, but back in the day, it's like because you have those epic shows that were recorded, and then they were like, "Oh my God!" Like you know, like Deep Purple, big in Japan, like made in Japan. You know, like that album was like, Jesus Christ, you know, like
or the Kiss Symphony. that was cool.
Kiss Alive. That was like that was actually bigger than any of the previous ones or something. I think Kiss Alive was like like that's the one that broke them or like made them or like at the time was.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a big fan of Kiss.
Did you get to see him or
no?
Okay.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. They just they called it quits.
They do that every like 3 years.
Okay. So then you still have a chance. Yeah, I saw them.
Probably not with Ace though. I don't think I'm gonna be able to see them with Ace freely.
I saw him with Tommy Thayer, I think. Like Ace
Did
was
you
not
really?
there.
Oh my god.
I saw Ace also by himself.
Really?
Like solo. That was like pretty much when I moved out here, and then Kiss at the Staples Center at the time. Super cool. It's one of those bands that you want to see like before because you can hear. Like,
you have to, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just their music. It's like the performance and their costumes, their makeup, the pyrotechnics. It's everything.
How influential they've been to some, musicians. Like especially like American musicians. Like you listen to pretty much everybody when they were kids. Kiss was kind of like what many people devoted this. Fascination with them or, so I never realized how, growing up in Europe, how influential they've been to American bands. Like there are like a lot of famous musicians that we admire these days. They started being complete Kiss fans.
Kiss fans?
Were pretty much maybe that was the thing that got them into, into that. Because, if you think about it, it's very, very, very attractive.
Oh, yeah.
You're a kid, you have this, they almost look like superheroes.
Right.
They have fire on stage.
Who else was doing that in the 70s?
Oh, there are moments where Queen have these epic shows and all that you can see, but it was like larger than life, type of like persona that you see, that it just blows you away.
They had comic books. They had TV shows, they had toys, they had yo-yos, games, they had everything.
It's easy like for people like to criticize, oh my god, like it's just, but I tell you, they pretty much, invented what everybody's doing these days, which is kind of like, well, it's just all the money right now is in merch, there's no anywhere. They're like, and they started doing that in the 70s, so they pretty much were like the blueprint of many things that are happening, these days, or so. And at the end of the day, what I said before, the songs.
Oh yeah,
because you can have an aesthetic, you can have a look, you can have.
But their range, dude.
But they have amazing songs, and that's where will age so well. Like it will, stand like the stamp of time,
Their range across music was just phenomenal. I was just listening to their best hits the other night, and I almost cried when I heard Beth again. I haven't heard Beth in like years, and I heard Beth, and I was like, "Fucking Peter Criss, man!" Every fucking time it gives me.
The drummer is singing that song. That's another thing. All of them sang.
Yeah,
like the drummer is singing that song.
They're like the Beatles, but for like metal in the 70s,
for like
and makeup,
and makeup and all, and like they got it, like they had a vision early on, and I have a lot of admiration and respect for them. And I only saw them once, I saw Ace,
and that's one more than me, bro.
Yeah, but it was like there were moments that I would have liked to go or something like that, but then I ended up not going because it was like something else, or at the time didn't have money to buy shows. That's when shows were even affordable. Now is like these days shows are like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and beers are like $35 for a michelada or something like that. It's nuts right now.
We are. I used to go to so many. Now I'm just trying to be a little more selective.
Right.
Because it's super expensive. I mean, it's also like a good problem to have because you've seen a lot of bands already.
Of course.
So it's like, but we have a few ones, coming up, and then just less is more, I guess, at the time.
Yeah,
it's just so expensive, man.
If you really want to get crazy, you can sit down and listen to a vinyl album. Like, when's the last time you sat down and listened to a vinyl album? That's crazy too.
And that's a cool market that it's
booming
it's
right now.
booming right now, and then there's a lot of super cool and special, and it's like it has its own ecosystem that people are like very devoted to it. So
even to make them, they're very expensive. I heard
there are not many plants, and the waiting times are huge right now because it's almost like everything is made by the same plants. So
Whoa!
they're bands that if they want to, like, if they have an album coming up, and they want to have the vinyl, they need to, like, the order has to go like maybe like 8 months ahead of time.
Jeez.
Because it's back ordered everywhere. Think what's the guy from the Jack White, the guy from the White Stripes.
Right.
He has his own plant, and Third Man, I think, is in Nashville. And then Metallica just opened their own plant.
Did they
were
really?
congratulating they were like,
Whoa.
Thanks for doing this, because you will not believe like the huge favor that you're doing to the industry by allowing more people to create it. So I think vinyl, it's a very hot topic right now, but it's like the back order, everything is back ordered right now. So you have to be very strategic if you want a record that comes out at the time. We have a few ones for this album too, and then we wanted to do something special, but it was the same thing. It's like you have to plan it ahead of time. You have that long waiting time, and it's kind of pricey depending on how much you can make, but it's a cool thing to have. I still have remember I was a kid, and then my uncle was like he had I have Master of Puppets, the original one, on vinyl back home in Spain.
Wow.
And my uncle was like, here's this thing. It's like they created this new thing called CDs, and they're like, and these things, they will be worth nothing. It's like, this is useless anymore. And all that was like, so to them, they were like, oh, this is
Right.
it's useless. And then I had a couple of those still, because they were like, okay, this technology is taking over, and then it's just pointless in having this. And now you see that is like worth a lot of money, or
what's a crazy thought experiment to wonder if that will be the case for files of music, like in computers. If somebody or everybody in the world start deleting files of music, what that would do, and how the next phase of consuming music would be like, because it's all digital right now. We're in the digital age. Clouds, we have this information on clouds. Imagine the cloud is gone. Like, what would be left?
I mean, hopefully, pretty much everybody will have backups or something like that.
Yeah.
And you still hear stories like, was it like Universal or something? Like last year, there was a fire and they lost a lot of masters, like
classic
Fleetwood Mac or Rumors and this. They're like, oh, it's gone.
It was like Louis Armstrong. It was like Nirvana, I think, too.
Yeah, like a lot of classic albums that the masters were lost. So
Nevermind is another one too that I just there's just music right now is just, I don't know. I love music. I love talking to musicians.
Okay,
it's great. John, thanks for coming out and doing the podcast. I really appreciate it. Can you tell us where we can find you and what you got coming up?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. You can always check out my music on everything John DeMena, like johndemena.com or Instagram. Everything's going to be on the same thing. Instagram, check out the live shows coming up. We have a West Coast tour coming up. We have a show in Anaheim on February 2nd, and then we have starting to record the next album, so just stay tuned for the next music coming up. And let me know, connect. Thanks so much for having me, and everybody have a good time.
Thanks for being here, and check out John DeMena's stuff on the links in the show description. Everything is clickable. Add him on all the social medias. Check him out on Spotify, his merch store. He has a show on the 2nd in Anaheim at the Doll Hut.
Yeah.
At the Doll Hut with our friends too, with Papa Rhino Promotions in he has a music video. Papa Rhino Music Promotions in Anaheim is also with Dollhead. Check out his official video. People are strange. Okay,
the
cool.
Doors cover. Very
I was listening to it. Awesome take, man. I love it. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we got? Check him out on YouTube. But everything, all the links will be down in the show description. Check him out. What else do we got, Amber?
That's it.
Cool. And then all our events in February, check them down on the show description. Everything will be down there, and it's gonna be fun. February 23rd. I'm gonna be pushing that for the next month. February 23rd in the city of Paramount. It's a free show, open mic, showcase, and live podcast. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. Check us out.
The Mind Buzz.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Like.